Welcome to the Types of Interview Questions tutorial sponsored by the Saginaw Valley State University Office of Career Planning and Placement. Let's begin. In the world of professional sports, the athletes constantly practice and prepare for the big game. They will study film and statistics about opponents' tendencies in order to gain a tactical advantage. In the employment world, the interview should be viewed as a playoff game on your way to the big championship, which is an offer of employment. In keeping with the sports analogy, thinking about what questions you may be asked can help you develop a game plan for the interview. There are 4 common types of interview questions that you are most likely to be asked. These are traditional, behavioral, situational, and experiential. Traditional interview questions are aptly named because they are questions typically asked by many companies. Common questions in this category include: tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And an occasional odd question designed to judge your quick thinking ability, such as, if you were a type of salad dressing, what one would you be? The key to answering traditional questions is to use your 30-second pitch when talking about yourself and being clear, concise, and thorough. Describe your thought process when necessary. Behavioral interviewing asks you a question about something that happened in the past. In this approach, past actions are viewed as a predictor of future behavior. This is a very common form of interviewing within education. Common behavioral questions include: describe a time when you had to work in a team environment, or tell me about a time you had to deal with a disruptive student in your classroom. The key to answering these questions is to be specific. If the question asks for a time, be sure to describe one specific event. Most people err by being too vague in their responses. Situational interviewing poses a hypothetical circumstance that the respondent must discuss how they would handle. Again, your response will be used as a predictor for the organization on how you would deal with that event should it actually happen. Common situational questions include: what would you do if you had a dispute with a coworker? Or, how would you handle a client who was upset with the organization? Again, the key to answering this question is to be specific. If you actually experienced an event similar to what you are being asked about, feel free to provide an anecdote or personal example to clarify your answer. Finally, experiential interviewing asks your experience with a certain task that may be a part of your job responsibilities. This is very common in technical fields if you are going to be working with a specific material or programming language. Some examples include: have you ever done .NET programming? Or, what type of experience do you have managing clients? The key to answering these questions is to be thorough and specific. Be sure to elaborate upon the depth of experience that you have with the topic question. A useful tool to ensure that you are giving clear, concise, and thorough answers is the STAR method of response. This is primarily used to answer behavioral questions, but can also help with situational and experiential answers if you are telling an anecdote. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. Situation. Briefly provide a broad description of the background where your example is taking place. Task. Share more details about the problem, challenge, or task that you needed to address. Action. Describe several possible courses of action and explain why the one you chose was best. Give details that illustrate what you were like in action. And finally, result. Analyze the outcome of your action and the resolution of the situation. Indicate whether or not you would follow the same course of action in the future. Here is an example of a STAR response for the question: how do you provide excellent customer service? When I was working as a receptionist in a local motel, we were responsible for responding to special requests from our guests. Sometimes, guests would ask for something that was very unusual. For example, one person asked if we could deliver a birthday cake to his room for his son's 6th birthday. Even though we didn't offer room service, I thought that going the extra mile in this circumstance would really make the guest happy, and that not helping would make him and his son very disappointed. My job was to ensure that guests had a positive experience so they would recommend the motel to their friends. I told him that we didn't have room service, but that I would be happy to see if a local bakery could be reached. I phoned several bakeries and found one who could have a cake ready within a few hours, but couldn't deliver. I checked back with the guest to make sure that the price and cake flavor were right, then made arrangements for our motel's airport shuttle van to pick up the cake during one of its runs. The cake arrived and the guest was ecstatic. They wrote a letter to the motel expressing their appreciation and have recommended the motel to several friends who always ask for the birthday cake person. The whole process didn't take much time or money, but certainly impressed the guest. As you can see, STAR helped me describe a very specific series of events. It is recommended that you practice some STAR situations and think about them ahead of time. It is important to note that none of your responses sound memorized. This concludes the Types of Interview Questions tutorial. Please feel free to contact the Career Planning and Placement Office in Curtis Hall 111 at 989-964-4954 or email careers@svsu.edu if you have any questions.